and Network Fund, CNF. So I will unpack what all this means, and then I'll give you guys the floor for question. So the IRF, Incident Response Fund, is our rapid response mechanism. So it helps human rights organizations, journalists, activists who are facing digital threats or attacks. So under these grants, we can give up to 5,000 euros to organizations or individuals to respond to a digital issue. Yes. And we move to the SPF. And the SPF funds aim to strengthen an organization or a collective capacity to be resilient and to respond to threats. So under this, organizations are supposed to present project or proposal that aims at strengthening the long-term resilience of the organization. So here, the key point is the long term. And we move to the RPF, Regional Protection Fund. It aims to support initiatives promoting online freedom and digital or holistic protection for human rights defenders. So under this fund, we can also have training or accompaniment. So she spoke about accompaniment, where DDP is the one doing the accompaniment. But under RPF, it is the organization that is receiving the fund that will be doing the accompaniment. So we move to CNF. So CNF is Community and Network Fund, and it aims to build skills, capacity, collaboration, and exchange among organizations, individuals working on internet freedom or digital holistic security for human rights defenders. So under these, activities that are supported can include the organization or regional collaborative meetings where among rapid responders, and also training for civil set members. So on malware protection, for example. So that is the 4 grants that we have at DDP. So I'll put a disclaimer. So currently we are almost at the end of the year. So CNF, RPF, and SPF are closed.
Thank you so much. Just a quick question is what kind of organizations? I know you do, you've said you fund activists, you fund journalists and organizations. So what level of organizations? I mean, grassroots, national, NGOs, regional NGOs, and even at media level, what would you find a media organization, for example?
Okay, I'll respond to that. And mostly I'll tell you that initially we all thought of categorizing the type of organization that we fund. But now I noticed one thing after working with the grants for some time. Categorically, the funds are themselves that categorize these organizations. For example, for Incidents Response Fund, most of the organizations that apply are those ones that do not have enough knowledge in terms of how do we protect ourselves from the risks that are available. So they actually are facing the risk. They've just opened, and here they are. They've opened up their website. They do not know what are some of the measures to mitigate some of the things that can lead to hacking, Facebook hacking, whatever it is. So you find that the funding categorizes this organization. So those grassroots are the ones that normally reach out for IRF. Then the sustainable protection funding, I've come to notice these are organizations that already are aware of their own security threats. So they are at a different level. They've worked in the digital space themselves. They are already aware that these are the issues that we are facing on the ground. So when they come to explain their application, you find that they are at a different level. And sustainable protection funding is to build the resilience. So they already come up with a proposal telling us that we've worked. Either we are preparing for election in this country, either because of the surveillance that we are facing, this is why we are coming up with the following structures. But the grassroots, most of the time, even when they come up with the threats, you look at their budgets, they also do not know what are some of the things we can put in place to mitigate. Then the regional protection funding, these are regionally based organizations. This is not even a grassroots organization. This is an organization that in a regional based, already they have organizations under them that they are supporting because they are offering them accompaniments, they are training the human rights defenders, they are at a level that they can handle a larger grant. In every category, the grants are on different levels, and what we fund is on different levels. The regional partnership funding, they also do what we call forensic analysis of the threats that they are facing. A grassroots might not have that structure and power. So I think the grants nowadays are the ones that are categorizing. Initially, we thought of let's look for the grassroots. But now with the time, the funding itself is the one that is categorizing us without knowing. Then the community network funding, this is an organization that we target that already have helplines. They want to set up a helpline mode for their own human rights defenders, or they want to train digital protection facilitators in their region. So you see, again, this is a different category of organizations that we are targeting at that level. So I think the entry point for us might not be whom and who, but at what point are you in the sector? Then to answer your second question, do we work with media organizations? Yes, we have. We are not limited to the 4 categories, but we are looking for actors that make data available to the public. These are the bloggers, journalists, media networks, media forums, and all that. Then we are looking for the second category, women human rights defenders, indigenous and environmental rights defenders. We're also looking at the minority groups, the youth groups, but also it depends. Sometimes we also look for people who are in SRHR, people who are in gender violence-based sectors because of the threats that they follow. And again, digital rights, it's now a cut across the discussion. Like, for example, right now, what are we gathered here for? It's part of it is because of promoting the digital space. And who are we here? If you get people introducing themselves, they are from various sectors. So yes, the category, as I have answered. Secondly, the media rights, and I think I've even gone overboard with the answer. Thank you.
Any question?
I don't know if this is the right moment to the question, but I will introduce myself. I am Jacobo from Guatemala, representing Fundación Acceso that works in Central America. And we have our we are working in an authoritarian context, and they are blocking organizations, financial operations of organizations. So in some context, I know that in Africa is happening something like that. What happens when there is a country with blocking of financial operations for organizations? It is possible in this scenario to help through a funding opportunity from your program, for example? I don't know if I explain my question. It's like a challenge of transfer fundings to organizations that are working in countries with authoritarian regimes that are blocking
Yes.
financial operations.
Yes, I actually see even the finance looking at me, because those are the challenges that we get day in, day out. Okay, when you start giving grants, you might think all is well in the outside world, but once you start transferring the money, that's when you know there's a lot of bottlenecks affecting the transfer of money from one region to the other. The first of the things that affect us is the local currency exchange rates that is affecting us at large, which I don't know if sometimes we factor it when we are talking to our donors about the funding space, because you find that the exchange rates are the ones that are cutting the funding into two. We are exchanging with most of the governments. The second thing is the government surveillance of most of our banks, because most of our banks and governments are following up where, how, where is this funding going to. The taxation rates is also affecting, but also specifically to an organization that cannot receive the funding. We also have solutions like fiscal funding or physical funders. I don't know if I'm spelling it well, but we call it fiscal. Fiscal, I'll say, we get an organization that can receive funding on your behalf. As long as the MOU, sometimes there's a problem, like if I'm hosting your money, give me something small. So as a funder, I'll make sure that we sit in as an organization. Sorry, I said a funder. As an organization, we sit in to ensure that the MOUs or even memorandum of understanding is very clear, because sometimes when the physical donors or even physical hosts get the money, again, it starts talking to them and they cut the funds into half. But yes, we have that. We enter into discussion with the organization on what other alternative ways. Sometimes we also have what we call sub-regional organizations that can receive funding on behalf of others. Then they distribute it. Yeah, I think it happened like last year, was it in Uganda, whereby a lot of banks were being closed, in Zimbabwe too. In Rwanda, there's also surveillance of bank accounts. They close it indefinitely, or even when they suspect you are doing CSO work, they close your bank accounts. Yeah, or even they freeze whatever you already have. So we have that challenge, but we discuss with organizations and we find out. Also, we are not alone in this space. We are not alone. So when we meet with other organizations to learn what they are doing, we take up from what they are doing. Okay, now, yeah.
So mine is basically not a question, but to share something. I am Augustine James and I'm from Sierra Leone. I work with the Media Reform Coordinating Group, MRCG, and I'm the head of programs for that organization. So just to share something from what the panelists are saying, in 2024, we benefited from one of the categories you're talking about. I think it's the Incident Response Fund, right? IRF. So we got support from DDP, wherein we have been working on digital space anyways. We've been working with media houses, journalists, training them, bringing capacity building, but we lack some few things which we, from the support we got from DDP, we were able to strengthen our digital space, our digital capacity, and we also had special trainer who took us through some digital tools, how to use them, especially when it comes to secured applications and also that of softwares on the machines. And we also had, through that support, we also got a brand new website. Our initial website we had was giving us some few issues. So from that support, we had a new website. And from also the support, I was trained to manage the website. As I speak, I manage the website. This is somebody who has no tech background. This is somebody who has no IT background, but due to the support, I was trained on and how to manage the website, how to update the website, how to generally use the digital space of the organization. So since 2024, I've been doing that so well. And I just want to appreciate DDP and also to let them know we are coming for the other categories. Hopefully, we'll apply for them and I'm sure we'll get them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. For now, I still invite any, not even questions alone, opportunities, feedback, compliments.
I am Awana Tukabo from Sierra Leone. In my country, you cannot talk about democracy or good governance without mentioning our organization. We have been pushing for policy reform, for gender equality, for freedom of expression. As much as we are doing our best, there are still some limitations. So on that note, I would like to ask, how do we ensure that marginalized voices, especially women in rural activists and young defendants who are not only protected, but also actively shaping the digital security agenda? How do we ensure how do we ensure inclusivity and sustainability?
Yes, I'll invite anyone from the crowd before, so that I don't dominate with the answers, because this is a question to all of us, general question. Thank you.
Merci. Bon, ce n'est pas une question, c'est un partage d'expérience. Je peux y aller? OK. OK, d'accord. Moi, c'est Iris Imonsou de la Fondation Défenseurs d'Afrique. C'est bon? OK, d'accord. OK, d'accord. Moi, c'est Iris Imonsou de la Fondation Défenseurs d'Afrique, qui est spécialisée dans la promotion et la protection des droits des défenseurs des droits de l'homme. Et au cours de cette année 2025, notre fondation a bénéficié d'un accompagnement de DDP axé sur la sécurité numérique. Et ce programme nous a permis de prendre conscience, parce qu'on ne savait pas au départ, de prendre conscience réellement des différents risques auxquels on pourrait être confronté dans l'espace numérique. Et au cours de ce programme, nous avions bénéficié de plusieurs formations sur la création de mots de passe forts, sur l'utilisation d'applications qui pourraient nous permettre de sécuriser nos données, sur le gestionnaire de mots de passe. Nous avions appris beaucoup de notions et beaucoup de thématiques sur la sécurité numérique. À part ça, il y a également un financement de 2100 € qui nous a été octroyé pour qu'on puisse acheter des matériels nécessaires et des outils afin de sécuriser nos données, nos différentes données. Et il y a un coach de bien-être qui a été également mis à notre disposition afin de nous permettre d'avoir un environnement sain de travail et de bien travailler. Voilà, je vous remercie. Et je voudrais remercier l'équipe de DDP et plus précisément les facilitatrices pour leur engagement, leur professionnalisme et leur écoute. Je vous remercie.
By English or by French? No. I like to talk in French, not problem. Bonjour à tout le monde. Je m'appelle Youssouf Alafouza, je suis venu depuis le Tchad. J'appartiens à une organisation qui est dénommée House of Africa. Et nous sommes aussi dans le système que nous avons reçu, l'accompagnement de DDP. Et grâce à cet accompagnement, nous avons bénéficié de beaucoup de choses. Parce que nous avons pu quand même s'offrir de matériel. Grâce à ce matériel, aujourd'hui, nous avons eu un centre communautaire pour former les jeunes. Et c'est déjà un plus. Et à partir avec ces matériels, nous avons pu acheter quand même des matériels de connexion. Et nous avons pu installer des antivirus que auparavant, les ordinateurs que nous détenions n'en avaient pas. Et ça a déjà un plus. Et nous allons faire un renforcement des capacités aussi. Et comment sécuriser nos données en ligne Et nous avons pu aller dans quelques lycées. Nous avons fait ça, une campagne de sensibilisation aux jeunes, les plus jeunes. Et tout ça, c'est grâce à l'initiative de DDP. Donc, nous remercions à l'équipe DDP qui nous a fait cet accompagnement. Et c'est déjà un plus, on a entamé déjà. Et aujourd'hui, nous avons des matériels très sécurisés et nous savons comment sécuriser nos données en ligne, se protéger des malveillances et autres. Tout ça, c'est grâce à l'initiative qui est louable de DDP et c'est déjà nous remercions d'avance. Et à la fin, j'ai une question à poser. Quels sont les défis que le DDP a rencontrés sur le terrain à l'ère de nouvelles technologies, par exemple à l'ère de l'intelligence artificielle et autres? C'est ça que je vous remercie.
Okay, let me respond to the earlier question of that was asked. How does DDP get itself in advocacies? First of all, we fund what we call feminist helplines and advocacy channels through our community network funding. Then we also find ourselves in the third part, facilitating communities through getting into feminist forums and advocacies. So we actually attend in terms of supporting and pushing agendas. Then the third thing will be webinars and digital security trainings and community building online sessions. We also support regional networks in terms of regional organizations that work in the advocacy channels through the regional partnership funding. In this global gathering, we have given priority to feminist and advocacy channels that promote the work that you had said to ensure that they attend and gain more information in terms of that. Then we also give priority when we are doing the application of funding, other than the marginalized groups, the ones that comes next are the women human rights defenders. Yeah, so I also wanted to hear from the rest in terms of how do they push the agenda, but still, as you are around, you can also get information from other teams, but that is what we offer at DDP.
Okay, so he had a question, so maybe I can respond to your question, and if Christine has something to add, she can add. So you are asking about the challenges that we face as DDP in the digital space, especially in the era of AI, right? That was your question, right? Yes. Okay, so I would say the digital space, there are a lot of challenges that I'm sure you know of. And for us, sometimes today we have the opportunity to meet physically, but mostly our meetings are online. And we are in Africa, and the internet penetration in our different countries is very low. And sometimes you have a meeting that is scheduled for 2 p.m., for example, and you end up having that meeting at 3 or 2:30, and all that time is lost because the partner is trying to connect. Even you, the staff, is also trying to connect. So one of it is the internet challenges. And you also mentioned specifically the challenges with AI. So AI is new to all of us. It's something that we don't even understand what it is. So currently, we know that it's something that helps us to do our work efficiently, faster. And you will notice sometimes that applications will come to your desk and people are not even thinking about it anymore. They just copy paste. And sometimes you see applications that doesn't really reflect their reality because it's just AI copy and paste. So for me, working currently as a grant officer, those are the things I see, that people are no more really put in their thoughts, even sometimes emails. You read emails and you notice that this is not a response to what you have asked. Maybe they put it in the AI, give me a response, and the response doesn't really fit what you are asking. And from that, you have to ask for a meeting again, and the cycle goes around. So maybe if Christine wants to add something.
Yes, I want to add on the AI generated applications that we receive. Secondly, we have evidence that is provided to applications, especially the emergency grants. Most of them are AI-generated evidences. There's a time we tried pre-shortlisting with AI because we received over 300 applications. And one thing that we noted, there still needs a human aspect while you are shortlisting applications, because having worked with these organizations and you feed into AI, I think it gives you garbage in, garbage out. So if you feed in, this is what you are looking for, and yet there are other things that in the application or the organization did not provide, it will just put them as not shortlisted. Secondly, it will skip out some of the human aspects that you have been working with this organization for some time. So the relationship aspect is not there. So the probability of getting 100% results will not be guaranteed. Though AI has helped us in doing the edits of if, for example, today I want to do a good email, for me, seriously, I put it on AI and I just instructed, this is what I want the email to look like. Though finally, I'm the human who's sending out the email, but it helps me sometimes in generating, you go to the email and you do not have the 100% words. So sometimes it helps me in generating some emails, but before I send it out, I make sure I read and put in the human perspective in it. Yeah.
Merci bien. Je suis Sanata Ouedraogo du Burkina Faso, la représentante de l'Association des femmes juristes du Burkina Faso. Donc, je dirais qu'on a beaucoup bénéficié de DDP parce que dans notre domaine d'intervention, nous manipulons surtout des données très sensibles, surtout les violences basées sur le genre, les violences faites aux femmes, les taux de violence, les taux de viol, de harcèlement sexuel. Ce sont des données très sensibles que nous manipulons tous les jours. Et grâce à l'appui de DDP, nous avons pu, nous, en tant que responsables, on ne mesurait pas le risque même de la protection de ces données. Et grâce à DDP, nous avons pu quand même développer des mots de passe très forts, déjà même l'utilisation, la manipulation de certains sites, on ne maîtrisait pas. Et quand on a fait ceci avec DDP, on a choisi 2 points. Je suis la responsable, il y a une également qui est là. Actuellement, ce que nous faisons, nous avons bénéficié de cela, mais nous travaillons avec des acteurs judiciaires, notamment des avocats, des notaires, des huissiers. Et quand on est allé vers eux, eux-mêmes, ils ne maîtrisaient pas, ils ne réalisaient pas ce risque, vous voyez? Donc, c'est également une belle opportunité. Actuellement, ce que nous faisons, nous sommes en train de sensibiliser, je dirais, initier ces différents acteurs qui touchent vraiment les données sensibles. Vous savez, dans le domaine judiciaire, il y a plein de dossiers ou encore, je dirais, de données qu'on doit travailler dans la confidentialité. Nous n'avons pas le droit de laisser fuiter certaines informations. Mais avec DDP, nous avons pu quand même protéger nos données, nos ordinateurs. On a travaillé avec les acteurs judiciaires. Actuellement, nous travaillons avec les cliniciennes, puisque nous avons des cliniques juridiques qui sont au niveau de l'accompagnement juridique, l'accueil et le traitement des données. Donc, je dirais que c'est une belle opportunité et je tiens à vous remercier pour cela parce que nous avons vraiment bénéficié de ces appuis-là. Maintenant, je termine par une question. C'est juste savoir quelle est la vision de DDP pour l'avenir. Merci.
Yeah, thank you so much. And seems like the stories I'm hearing are real good stories of DDP's work. I just wanted to ask, I work for an organization that works with human rights defenders and journalists, and on the front line. So digital activists, content creators, and in the part of the world where I work in, many times these digital actors are, face lots of incidences of safety and security. I just wanted to understand well the rapid, what did you call the fund?
Incidents Response Fund.
Yes, but when you went on to explain it, you used the word rapid response. So I'm using those two because the kinds of incidences we deal with, for example, could be a digital activist who has been arrested, and we need funds urgently for litigation to intervene at the court level. That's one example. Another example would be a digital activist or a content creator or a digital actor who has been injured because of their work in the digital space, and therefore we need some rapid funds to address medical intervention. So are these scenarios that are, the Incident Response Fund can, for example, address? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. So you mentioned different scenarios, and to begin, I would like to say that at DDP we focus more on digital incidents. And unfortunately I didn't write the scenarios, but maybe the last one, a journalist that is injured during his work might not necessarily enter our domain of intervention. However, we can refer you to our other partners that take care of that. However, let me take an example of a journalist on the front line that is during work, he was badly beaten and his equipment destroyed. That DDP can take care of it to replace maybe his working equipment. And we also look at holistic security. So you also spoke of litigation. Yes, so in that, when the application is received, it will also be reviewed, and the review team can also look at it and see what can be done in a specific situation. So we have our eligibility criteria that we use to review the application. However, I would say that even though I wouldn't say that it's cast in stone because there are specific situations. However, we use our eligibility criteria to review the applications. And Christine can add more.
Yeah, I wanted to add more in terms of the overall strategy of DDP and how it now unpacks to different grants. Our overall strategy is to strengthen the resilience and the digital security of human rights defenders in a sustainable and holistic way. So the keyword in those for human rights defenders was the digital security. So for us to offer the incident response fund, the entry point should be digital attacks and digital threats. So when we get an application, the first thing that we ask ourselves, what were the digital threats that they faced? And again, when we unpack the digital threats, we look at what digital appliances do they have? What are the digital things that they were affected? Was it a social media platform? Was it a laptop that was hurt? So if a human rights defender was hurt with the bodily, that's a physical attack. But if there was a laptop inside or even the digital appliances or digital space that was threatened, now that's where we come in to mitigate, but in a holistic way. The holistic one will be the mitigation. It will be either medical, it will be either replacing the equipments or whatever it is. I hope now that makes it clear with what Stella said. Then back to your question, what does DDP have? One of the things that I'll refer you to is our strategy that is online, available from 2024 to 2027. And if you read in through the DDP strategy, one of the things that I've said is overall towards providing the holistic support through the funding that we have, through supporting feminist helplines, through the accompaniments, through the talking points. So I'll just refer you to our strategy to check on what it is in detailed, but some of the discussions, of course, we are covering them here. Thank you.
Ok, merci une fois encore. De plus, nous remercions. J'ai une question à poser. Quels sont les mécanismes juridiques que DDP peut mettre en place pour quelqu'un qui est un activiste numérique dans un pays quelconque, c'est ça? I repeat again? Okay, thank you. I said, quels sont les mécanismes juridiques que le DDP peut mettre en place en cas de menace d'un activiste ou bien d'un juriste numérique dans un pays quelconque?
Okay, what are the legal mechanism an organization should put in place? That's your question? DDP should put in place. Maybe you'll need to expound it further, like legal mechanism when you are selecting organizations or funding. I don't know if I got it well. Or any other person. You want to talk about something? Yeah, and that's why I wanted him to expound further legal mechanism as DDP towards the funding, or I don't know if I'm the only. What we can get from someone else? What are the maybe I'm not the one who's getting the question. Yeah. Okay, the challenge is not at the translation. The challenge is me who has not understood. The challenge is not the translation. The challenge is me who has not understood the question. Sorry.
Par exemple, dans mon pays, le Tchad, un journaliste qui allait... Ok, le journaliste était allé au terrain pour couvrir un événement. Et après ça, l'État, lui, ils l'ont arrêté parce que c'est illégalement qu'il est en train de couvrir ça. parce que c'était juste une question cimetière que le commerçant voulait transformer ce cimetière en un lieu de marché. Donc, ils ont fait des problèmes et puis le gouvernement a interdit au monsieur le maire de faire ces travaux ici, sur ces lieux. Donc, les gens ont fait beaucoup de bruit sur les réseaux sociaux. Après ça, les journalistes étaient sur le terrain et puis on les a arrêtés. Ils ont confisqué ce matériel et il était en détention jusqu'à 5 à 6 jours. Et si, par exemple, ces journalistes étaient couverts par DDP, par votre organisation, quelles sont les étapes juridiques que vous allez essayer d'entreprendre pour sa libération ou pour garantir qu'ils soient en sécurité?
Okay, I think now I get it. First of all, we have a company secretary or a lawyer that takes coverage in terms of our cases. Second, of the legal mechanism that we have. Sorry, I can hear French in my ears. Secondly, the mechanism that we have is that we have protection laws in terms of the data that we are supposed to give out. Not everyone can receive holistic data from our organization, especially for our grantees and any other person that we fund. We do not just give any data outside as a data protection mechanism and law that we put in place. The third thing is that in our digital spaces, we have what we call encryption of all our data and data privacy to all that we deal with. Now, individually to the organizations that we work with on the ground, we align with each country's legal mechanism. So I think that's why I didn't want to be very specific, but this ours is about overall. However, on the financial aspect, we also have our financial legal roles that they govern us from the time that we are processing the funding till the end. We also have the contractual laws that govern us when we are working with the grantees up to the end. So these are the aspects that we have. Then for protecting the DDP name outside there, they need to be like, before you use DDP name or any misinformation, of course, our company secretary gets in because we work under HIVOS Global as a network. So if you check on us online, you find that DDP is a subsequent of HIVOS. Now, if you go to the HIVOS website, you'll find out the details of this legal mechanism that we have on the ground. So the only thing that we might not be very specific, a journalist in a country is attacked, is the journalist under our contracts and our grants. Now that's the time that we'll get in, because also to be specific, we have to deal with specific regions that we are already either have signed a legal contractual agreement. Even when we are attending this conference for our partners, there was already documentation that was sent out for signing. When a partner comes on board, there's a memorandum of understanding, there's a conflict of interest that we sent out. There's also contractual agreements. I think we also have someone who has received grants from DDP, and they'll tell you that yes, we have put in place enough measures to govern this.
And maybe to add to what Christine has already said, DDP will not come directly to interfere in the victim legal situation in his or her country. So when he asked the question and we were answering, we mentioned that we deal directly with digital issues. However, in the situation where it touches, so in the example you gave, during work, he was beaten, his laptop taken and sent into prison for a few days. He or she can request for fund for holistic security and responding to the issue, can maybe cover, maybe getting some legal services from his country, but DDP will not go directly to deal with that. I don't know if you get it, plus what Christine has said.
Dans ces cas, DDP ne veut pas intervenir directement dans les pays concernés. Et par exemple, si le journaliste a perdu ses matériels et autres, il peut en avoir ça? Maybe.
Oui, exactement. C'est ce que nous disons.
So, in an instance where somebody applies for the sustainable grant and gets it and implements whatever initiative they may have, but it is not completed by the time the grant finishes, will a person be eligible to apply again for another sustainable fund?
So, it's a good question. However, when I was presenting a sustainable protection fund, I mentioned that the key word here is a long-term sustainable. So you look at activity that will help secure or build the capacity of your organization in a long term. So we believe that the projects that you are implementing should be able to strengthen the capacity of your organization, and nothing should be left out, right? So our internal policy does not allow you to receive fund to build the capacity and apply for it again, because it's not a normal project you are doing and you can say this is a pilot and I want to do year 2 to no. We are looking at building the long-term resilience of your organization. And maybe, thank you for the question. So an organization, example, who received an SPF to build the capacity of his or her organization, and then after the fund is finished, comes back 6 months later and applying for IRF because they have gone through an incident. Already, as DDP, we feel like the fund that we gave, the SPF, wasn't effective, because if it was, you shouldn't have even go through another threat, because we understand or we believe that your capacity have already been strengthened. Yes, I don't know if you get the answer. Maybe Christelle wants to add something.
Okay, just to maybe overall again, we start by looking at that, but sometimes there's also recurring, recurring what incidences that happen in an organization. So this is the time we enter in a further conversation of were the strategies that you put in place with the sustainable protection funding enough for you. Secondly, if the funding was not holistic enough for you, what are some of the things that are making your threats to be recurring? And is it truly then our funding that can work holistically for you? Or do we need to refer you to another organization? Is there something that you did not put in place while you are mitigating or even you're building the resilience? So there's more to that, especially when we see recurrent, applications to us. We think of a further conversation with this organization just to help them to build the sustainable. Building sustainability does not include the money only. It also includes supporting the organization, either talking points on what are some of the things they can put in place that might not get DDP support only. That's why we have a strong referral database that we get other partners that we work with. Maybe what we gave you on the ground was not sufficient enough. And that's why when you implemented, it's actually good that you look into the pool of our network of funders, or even the strategy that you used might not be the best to approach the recurrent digital attacks. So that's the time we enter in that conversation with that organization. Yeah.
Do we have more questions? Yes, compliments. Anything? Or somebody felt their question was not really answered? Yes.
The organization I work for. Okay, so the organization I work for is actually a media reform coordinating group. It is made up of over 5 other organizations. So the organization is like the secretariat working for the other organizations. So let's say you have supported the organization to build its capacity, its digital security capacity. Then the organization now applies to strengthen the other capacities of the other organizations. Can that work?
Yes, it can, because those are two different categories of funding, and the entry point was different.
Okay.
At first, you applied for one organization, and now it wants to support regionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay. Can an organization that has received the Incident Response Fund also apply for the SPF? And what is the eligibility criteria for the SPF?
I'll actually say yes, because as I said earlier, the incident response fund categories of organization mostly are grassroots, that they work online or even they work in a certain space, and they have few digital knowledge. And by the time they are applying for incident response funding, that's the time we actually gauge. Most of them, they are new in the space, or they are working in the space and have little knowledge. And that's why you see that most of the threats that they face, most of these organizations are things that they could have avoided. But now, once you give them the funding and the talking points that you work with them, that's the point you tell them that, hey, they actually open up their mind. I don't know why in life, when you face a circumstance, it opens up your mind to think about, what will I do next, so that it doesn't reoccur. Personally, it happens to me, and I think it also happens to you. So I think it's also like an entry point for them, because next time now, they come up well fully aware that these are the things that we think next time can face us. And remember, the sustainable protection funding, we said, is building the organization resilience even before, because once bitten, twice shy. So when they send in a proposal, they are well informed about it. But the first one, they were still naive. They were still thinking, we are safe. Our website is safe. We do not need to have passwords in our organization. We don't need encryption. We are just working with one laptop, all of us. Anyone can sign in and sign out. So by the time they face a digital threat, that's when they're like, yes, actually, we actually need funding to build this, because we are running on a very dangerous zone. Yeah.
And we have an example. So last year, we have an organization who benefited from IRF, and this year they benefited from SPF. So it's very well possible.
Merci. Dans le cadre de nos activités au sein de la Fondation, nous relocalisons les DDH qui sont en danger sur un shelter city. Donc, je voudrais savoir si c'est possible qu'on vous fasse appel afin que vous puissiez renforcer les capacités des DDH sur la sécurité numérique.
Yes, so I can respond. Yes, so when Christine was talking, the first part, she spoke of the fact that we have also training, we have webinars. So yes, it's very much possible to call on us. We have digital facilitators in-house, and we can have training. Yeah, that's what I understand from your question, and it's very much possible. Yeah.
I think for me, I look at it in a holistic manner. We can support cybersecurity conversations in your organization through the funding, the already happening accompaniment that you have. We can include you into our webinars. We can include you to community building sessions. We can include you to global gatherings like this one that we have here. When we are funding organization to attend talking points that we have community network funding. I think holistically, if you checked through our website, and it's good that you've asked, because we shall distribute the card, and the card has, just give me a sample of one. The card you scan here, it takes you to a landing page of our website. Then you read through so many other things that you can get in our organization. The card will also take you to our email box. That's team@Digital Defenders. But once you scan, you go through our website, and then if you have any inquiries, because I found out that through such a session, you'll hear a lot the whole day. Tomorrow you'll hear a lot. But once you've been given the power in terms of right here, any inquiries, we are here and we are ready to answer on how we can support your organization.
Merci beaucoup. J'ai cette question parce que DDP accompagne et font capacité de renforcement aux acteurs de la société civile. Et est-ce que le membre du gouvernement, ceux qui appartiennent dans le domaine numérique, par exemple, chez nous, il y a ANSYS, Agence nationale de cybersécurité, et autres entités qui travaillent dans le numérique, est-ce que DDP peut faire capacité de renforcement pour ces agents, ou bien c'est uniquement pour les acteurs de la société civile?
Actually, the answer is yes. The only thing that you need is connect them with us. The answer is yes. And we are actually not limited to the organizations that we support. And that's why when he asked about the categories, I was like, for us, they categorize themselves with the funding direct. We are based in all the continents. So we are in Africa. We are also in Latin America. Yeah, he actually said that he already knows part of our staff in Latin America. Then we are also based in Asia. We are based in the ICA region. ICA region is just Russia and East Asia. And then we are also based in the rest of the world, like EU. We handle like the whole of the world. Yeah, so feel free to reach out to us. We are here for you. We are here to answer all your questions. We are here to work together with the organizations. We are here to get into the spaces that you want us to get in. Please, if there's any doubt that you have in terms of can they, just reach out to us.